You're listening to episode 372 of the Major Issues Podcast, and on this episode, we cover the first 9 issues of Charles Soule's Daredevil comic, just in time for Daredevil Born Again. The Major Issues Podcast starts right now! Hello, everybody out there in comic book land. My name is George Serrano, aka The Don, and if you're listening to this, you can only be here for one reason. That's a brand new episode of the Major Issues Podcast, brought to you each and every week by ComicBookClique.com. And as always, I am never alone. Sir, if you could please introduce yourself.
It's me, Alex Garcia, aka The Cog, here to have a great time talking about some Daredevil stuff going on.
Yeah, man, the world is talking about Daredevil Born Again. First 2 episodes are already out. People have mixed reviews, but I dug it. You know, spoiler alert. I'm not going to give any spoilers as to what actually happens in those first 2 episodes. But I will say I was a huge fan of how things went down there. But we know that some of the plot points, villains, and just overall storylines that will be used in Born Again. It was you would think that Born Again would be adapting Born Again, but no, actually season 3 was basically a Daredevil Born Again. This is Born Again in name only, but it's taking a lot of inspiration from the Charles Soule Daredevil run. I want to say it started in 2015, 2016. We've broken this up. We're going to be tackling the first 9 issues of this Daredevil run and then finishing up with a little bit of news. A couple of questions I have up front. The Cog. First, do you remember this run? Do you remember this run when it came out? Do you remember what the reactions were around this run when it came out?
Well, yeah. Charles Soule, amazing writer. Guys, check him out. We've discussed him in the past. We covered 8 Billion Genies. And he has written lots of great Star Wars books. He's written 8 Billion Genies, like we said. He's got a bunch of other work out there. Daredevil, I think he Letter 44, Undiscovered Country with Scott Snyder. This guy's resume
I think of Darth Vader.
Speaks for itself.
I think of his Vader.
That Vader run. That Vader run, right.
Yeah.
So at the time, though, when this book came out, Daredevil had gone through so many transformations. Like if you remember, starting with that, you could even go back to when Marvel Knights started, and then once they handed it to Brian Michael Bendis, and from there Brubaker and a couple other folks whose names I can't really remember right now. But Daredevil had been this hot character. So by the time they get it to Charles Soule, I felt like he was like cooling off a bit, and they kind of had to hit the reset button on him, because during the Bendis run and thereafter, Brubaker and a couple other people, the whole thing with Daredevil was everybody knew who he was.
Yes.
It came out, to the point where he had to go to the West Coast to try to like restart his life, embracing the fact that people knew who he was. But then that didn't work out. And then when the Soule run was announced, there was 2 big things announced about it. Daredevil's getting a sidekick, and the secret identity is back in the box. But how?
Right. I read the beginning of this. I mean, I've read all of our required reading for these 2 episodes that we'll be doing, and it was never told to me exactly why this secret identity thing is a thing in the first place. And I'm like, man, usually they say, there's an asterisk, go read Secret Wars Omega or whatever to figure out what's going on here. Literally 10 minutes before this podcast, I found out that it's in this run that they explain what happens, but they don't do it until like issue 20. So, I thought this entire time that I was missing a level of context in this, but ultimately we're not supposed to know, at least not yet.
Nope.
Do you remember this getting rave reviews when it came out initially?
Yeah, actually, I didn't collect it. I didn't read this until now.
Okay.
But I remember people talking about it, and I was hesitant because I was like, I don't want to read Daredevil with a sidekick,
right?
And I didn't really like the idea of what magic way are we putting the secret identity back in the box? But reading these first 14 issues, this is damn good. Damn good, and I mean, I'm really upset that I slept on this. Like I said, I'm always on top of the reviews and kind of what's out there. people were talking about how it was good. This is very good. This
Yeah.
is very good, and I want to finish all of Soule's run now.
Interesting. I believe it's his, and then goes into Wade's. And then
No,
everyone's
Wade was
prior to
before.
this. Okay,
Hmm.
okay. So does his go
Right
into
after this,
Zdarsky's?
I believe this goes like straight into Zdarsky. There
Oh,
may have been somebody in between,
yeah.
but the pretty much the next big name afterwards was Zdarsky. Yeah.
I remember seeing people on X say, "Oh wow, they jumped over everything and went straight to Zdarsky to do Born Again," and I'm like, "No, a lot of it's in this, like more than you would think
Yeah.
is in this." But this run also reminded me, and I guess it's because it has such a fresh start that there is kind of a checklist for Daredevil, right? There is kind of a like
Hmm.
Hand, Elektra. We haven't hit the Kingpin yet, but obviously, like
Oh,
that's something waiting in the wings.
that's
Um,
coming.
and what's funny? One of the things I think that was interesting about this run, you talk about the sidekick, that's definitely new. The secret identity being put back in the box, that's definitely a development. But this whole idea of him being a prosecutor and not a public defender,
Not a defender, right?
that's huge as well, right? Working for the
Hmm.
state. Like, this is the most
Yeah.
conservative we've ever seen, Matt.
Yeah.
And it's pretty interesting how Charles colors him. I actually think, and we'll get into this in our next episode when we do the muse of it all. But muse is almost written to be like a pastiche on like hipster. It's all about
Yeah.
the art, man.
Hmm.
Kind
Yep.
of.
Yep.
And
Definitely.
I really felt like that's how I really felt reading it. It felt like Soul being over these dramatic hipster artists, and trying to change the status quo. Um, but yeah, this does a lot to move the Daredevil mythos forward. And yeah, the introduction of a sidekick, I think does a lot there too. And they play a lot of even with the friendship he has with Foggy and all this,
Yep. Yeah.
which I thought was very interesting. I just felt this entire time like I was missing a piece of information, but ultimately, no. Ultimately, that was never a thing. So, yeah, if you are ready, we can get right into our spoiler-filled review. So here we go. So, we open up our story on the Manhattan Bridge where Daredevil, now wearing a sleek new black suit, dives after a man thrown over the bridge with cinder blocks tied to him. As he attempts to save the man, his would-be killers, members of a gang led by the inhuman known as Ten Fingers, strategize on whether to tell their boss that the man is dead. Using his agility, tech, and expertise, Daredevil manages to pull Billy Lee to safety and tells Lee he will deal with the gang members himself. Uh, I thought this was a pretty cool opening. Starts with
Yeah.
some
No, it just
acrobatics.
it just starts immediately with acrobatics, showing immediately why he's known as Daredevil. I mean, this guy just leaps off a bridge into some water that would definitely kill most people.
Definitely.
And so we're just thrown right into, okay, this is who Daredevil is. And I like the fact that they also just quickly introduce us to this guy right here, Mr. Blind Spot.
Yes, because Matt ends up confronting the men, taking down several with ease, but they outnumber him. Just as things seem grim, his new protege, Blind Spot, arrives, using his suit's invisibility to lend a hand. Together, they take down the thugs. After the fight, Blind Spot asks when his training will be over, and Matt responds that it will be when he's strong enough to defeat him. Later, Matt, as Daredevil, takes Billy Lee to his trusted friend and only confidant, Foggy Nelson. Inside Foggy's house, Matt patches up his wounds, but Foggy, angered by being pulled into this dangerous world yet again, swears to never help him out again. And this is when like the first sort of stuff starts to creep in that piques my curiosity. This whole idea that no one knows that Matt is Daredevil but Foggy.
Right.
And it
Right.
all
So
lands on his lap and he's over it.
yeah, it's just like, whoa, within the first couple of pages, it's like, wait, I thought everybody knew who you were. Same thing. I was looking for like an editor's box, like you mentioned earlier. Wait, as seen in Daredevil number whatever, the secret identity's back in the box. What happened? What's going on here? And then like Foggy is just cold, man. Like you could just tell he's fed up with the Daredevil stuff,
Yeah.
and it changes the dynamic because Foggy's the guy who's always been in his corner. And here
Yeah.
we're immediately seeing he's taking on a protege. He's pissed off Foggy Nelson. He's got a brand new costume. Who is this new attitude Matt Murdock?
Right. And like you said, for the most part, even though he may not be jumping for joy, Foggy's a little bit more friendly than this.
Yeah,
He is over all of Matt's crap in this. And it kind of reminds me of season two when he reads him the riot act about Elektra and all that
right.
stuff. He's like, yo, you
Yep.
can't be doing this. Like you're screwing over everybody else for your little adventures and stuff. And this is dangerous. He takes basically a criminal and puts him in Foggy's home to to kind of duck out before his trial. So um the next day, we shift to Matt's civilian life. By day, he is a prosecutor in New York City, working in a makeshift office in an abandoned elevator shaft. When Billy Lee appears, hesitant to testify against Ten Fingers, Matt plays good cop, bad cop, emphasizing the importance of his testimony in taking down the ruthless gang leader. Word soon reaches Ten Fingers that Lee is considering cooperating with the authorities. In a cold and calculated move, Ten Fingers orders his Lieutenant Samuel to eliminate both Billy Lee and Matt Murdock during the trial. So it's this scene with Billy Lee, this whole good cop, bad cop thing that really made me realize that this is not the Daredevil I'm used to.
Nope. Nope. This is immediately like, wow, this is a darker take. And what really sets that tone, let's talk about this, is Ron Garney's artwork.
Yeah.
Ron Garney is a veteran of the industry. This guy has drawn pretty much every character you can name. He's drawn the X-Men, he's drawn Fantastic Four, he's drawn Daredevil, the Hulk, so much good stuff. And I've never seen his art like this, which I believe is a big testament to the inker of this book, Matt Miller, because his artwork here came across very much like John Romita Jr. to me. Where
Yeah.
it's a lot more boxy, very, dark light aspect. I mean, just check out the cover behind us.
Yeah. Angular and shadows. Yeah.
Yes. So, and it set the tone for this book so beautifully, so that you're feeling it like, man, this is not light, because the previous run, Mark Waid's run was very happy. You had
Yeah.
Chris Samney doing the art on that, and Matt smiling and having all this kind of
Yeah.
fun out there. This book, first issue, you're just like, oh, we got people with cinder blocks on their feet being thrown into the water. Matt's working in an abandoned elevator shaft. People are looking down on him. He's not the man. Like, he's always been like the man lawyer. Now he's like the bottom of the totem pole lawyer here.
Yeah.
And he's dealing with a gruesome type of villain here. This guy's chopping people's fingers off in the first issue. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, and usually you see him helping those who can't help themselves, in his legal practice. And here he's not. He literally says, like, that's not the Matt you're talking to today. Like, you're not talking to the
Right.
Matt that's
Right.
here to save, the little guy. He's working for the city, and he
Right.
needs this confession to lock up Ten Fingers, and Billy Lee's not down with it, but he gives him a pretty good motivation to do so.
Yep.
And then, yeah, Ten Fingers is quite literally 10 fingers. He has 10 fingers on each hand.
Yep.
We're shown this, and we're gonna see some ridiculous weaponry later on. But
Man.
yeah. 10 fingers, because I was like, oh, okay, fingers, hands, like, what are we doing here, right? Like the fingers,
Right.
the hand,
Mhm.
what happens here? But it doesn't get there just yet. Our next issue opens up with Ten Fingers rallying his followers in a charismatic speech, inspiring his cult to rise to prominence under his control. He promises power, control, and a path to ascendancy. Meanwhile, Matt Murdock is in court, standing before his peers, urging them to understand the danger Ten Fingers possesses. He emphasizes if he don't take them down, if they don't take him down now, more innocent lives will be lost. The scene shifts to downtown Manhattan, where Ten Fingers Lieutenant Samuel and his men are keeping watch on the courthouse. Matt, unaware of the danger, discusses strategy with his paralegal, confident that Billy Lee is safe in his holding cell. Just then, the district attorney enters, telling Matt that while he was initially reluctant to believe in him, if Matt can bring down Ten Fingers, he'll make a name for himself in this city. So beautifully in the beginning, we get that juxtaposition, right? Two men holding court, explaining the dire need for, what is to come next. I thought that was well done. And then you have all this weight on this lieutenant who promises to take down both Billy Lee and Matt Murdock. And we see kind of what happens when Ten Fingers is not happy with you. So we have a level of danger there. On top of that, Matt's stakes have now just been raised because we've been led to believe now that people aren't really liking him or loving him too much, and they're not really
Nope.
believing in him too much. But if he happens to put away a villain like Ten Fingers, he can get himself, his
Elevated.
name right. Yeah, his name could be elevated in the city. So we have stakes for everybody involved in these scenes. They're all trying to get
Yep.
things accomplished, and it's weird to it's weird for Matt to have a boss, and sort of be like, "Yes,
Yeah.
sir, I got
I
you, sir."
mean, right, because it's always been Nelson and Murdoch, and now it's no. I gotta report not just to the idea of working for the state, but there's whenever you work in a bureaucratic setting, man, there are people above you, and you
Yeah,
got to answer to all these people. So you got all these people that his paralegals even like poking at him.
yeah.
The lieutenant is telling him, hey man, like I don't even know how you were able to get back in this place, but thank your lucky stars that you're even here. And immediately he's in trouble. He's already in trouble because of what happens with this witness.
And the big thing also is that this is a Daredevil who is utterly alone, right? Like he can't go back to like I definitely can't go to Foggy and be like, "Hey, bro, I had a hard day today as Daredevil." No one else knows that he's this superhero. Even trusted people like Elektra will figure out later on, he has no connection to. There's no one
Right.
he can unload any of the burden of his nighttime activities with.
Right.
So it's good that he has blind spot, but not even blind spot knows that he's Matt Murdock. So he
Nope.
has to compartmentalize and have those two lives
Yep.
completely separate from one another. And we'll see that it's almost an impossible balance. If he goes too far to the left and stays a vigilante, he neglects his court duties. If he does his court stuff, he neglects his vigilante duties. So it's an
Right.
interesting sort of balance that he has to kind of deal with.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's all brand new. It's all brand new to him and brand new to us because we're still sitting here going, how this happened?
Right, 100%. But they're not ready to tell us yet. What we do know is that, unbeknownst to Matt, Samuel and his crew have infiltrated the building and ambushed Billy Lee. They have cut off his fingers to send a brutal message, and as a result, Lee now refuses to testify. Back at Ten Fingers' hideout, the leader is pleased to hear that Lee won't take the stand, but he chastises Samuel for failing to carry out his order to kill both Lee and Matt. In a chilling reveal, we learn that Samuel's mother works for Ten Fingers as well, adding a deeper layer to the lieutenant's motivations. Boom, boom, boom. And I'm like, are they trying to suggest that Ten Fingers is his dad? But that never comes to be. Uh,
Mm,
you think it
no.
is?
No, I don't think so. I
No,
don't think so.
no.
I don't think so. But I do like this whole idea that because immigration, I think at this time was a hot topic,
Yeah,
and it's still a very hot topic. So I like the
100%.
idea that this is also him trying to defend because that's a blind spot's whole thing, and it's kind of funny. Like his name is a double entendre now. I feel because
Yeah,
it's one thing that he's blind spot because he's he has this suit that makes him invisible,
right.
but it's also kind of like marking to the fact that like, hey man, there are some good immigrants that come here and they're kind of blind spots to people because they don't matter, so to speak.
Yeah,
And the fact that what happens when if the government doesn't want to help them out,
yeah,
someone's going to help them out. And then those people might just straight up be taking advantage of them. And that's what Ten Fingers is doing here. He's taking advantage of
100%.
these immigrants. He's using and abusing his power. And these people have nowhere else to turn to. It's like, oh, if we turn to the government, the government's going to ship us back to China.
Right.
This guy at least is keeping us around and saying he's going to protect us and elevate us and ascendancy and all this good stuff that you like to hear. May not be the case though.
That's just shows, how the people who fall through the cracks can be easily, co-opted into doing and following
Right.
some very strange people. Yeah, like I said, the name is perfect because it's also Matt's blind spot, right? The one part of this that Matt's not really paying attention to or asking too many questions about. Speaking of which, the next day, Matt's training session with Blind Spot provides insight into Blind Spot's past. We learn that he's a resident of Chinatown and he has witnessed firsthand the destruction Ten Fingers and his gang have caused. The community is under his ruthless control and people are suffering. Blind Spot reflects on his life as an invisible immigrant in New York, feeling overlooked and powerless. He decided to take matters into his own hands, vowing to rid Chinatown of Ten Fingers' stranglehold. Matt agrees to join him, hopefully, hoping that they could finally put an end to Ten Fingers' reign. And I really liked how they put that out. He says like, we clean up after you people. We, do the jobs that
Mm-hmm.
nobody else wants done, and then we end up being invisible. You know,
Right.
we're the nameless, faceless people that keep this country moving. But when push comes to shove and we need help, people don't usually rush to
Yeah.
do so. I also
Yeah,
think
we'll
that
help
we're a
you.
little,
We'll help you. Help you out the door.
yeah, 100%. And I also like that this is Matt, sort of in uncharted territories. Chinatown's not Hell's Kitchen, you know. So like he is opening himself up to a whole different environment, which means a whole different experience. Dealing with the people of Chinatown and trying to sympathize. And Blind Spot is the perfect person to kind of point him in the direction of what needs to be stopped because he's lived it. He's gone through it, and his people are going through it.
No, it's and that's what, like, this series immediately just touched me in that, because like, wow, in what, two issues, not even two complete issues, we're already getting this amazing feel for this book. There's a layer of so many layers of depth to this book that Charles Soule is touching on immediately, and the artwork is just killing it. And you know, Blind Spot, like you said, because when this was announced, I said it was all about saying sidekick, sidekick, sidekick. But you hit it on the head by saying protege.
Yeah,
Never once did I feel like this was, the Robin to Batman.
yeah,
This always immediately felt like, yo, this is Matt taking somebody under his wing and schooling them,
yeah,
not making them, hey man, go get my shoes, or hey, go get this, go get that. No, we're working together here.
yeah,
you know
100%.
so I really dug this. It's only two issues and we're already getting this great dynamic between these two characters. So it's already rocking on all cylinders for me.
We also have a laundry list of failed sidekicks, right? Like we have a laundry list of like failed whatever boy and whatever lad and whatever,
Hey, you ever,
you
you ever,
know.
you ever heard of you ever heard of Alpha? Oh my god.
I mean, I'm still thinking about Duke with Batman, the Signal that never ended up being anything, you know. So there's been so much cannon fodder when it comes to these sidekicks that I wasn't sure how serious I was meant to take Blind Spot, but giving him this backstory and it gets even deeper as the story
Yes.
continues, kind of lets you know that he's a big player in this run.
Yes, he is.
Um, but yeah, they team up and they decide, you know what, we're going right up to 10 Fingers this crib right now. Like, screw it. Like, because his Matt's been kind of like doing this whole, you need to work harder, graduate out of this training facility, and then we'll do it. But this desperate plea that he gives Daredevil of like, can we just, like my people are suffering, can we handle this situation? They decide to go straight to the source. But their plan takes a dangerous turn when they confront 10 Fingers and discover that he's using mystic arts to enhance his power and the power of his followers. Matt immediately recognizes the magic as coming from the Hand, the deadly ninja organization he crossed paths with before. Before Matt can warn 10 Fingers, the Hand makes their presence known. In a display of deadly precision, they take down several of 10 Fingers' men, making it clear that they're here for one thing: to reclaim the stolen magic. And I love that Matt's like, you idiots. Like, as soon as
Yeah.
he sees
Yeah.
it, he's like,
Yeah.
come on, bro.
Yeah.
Like do you know what hell you've just brought to your door? And
Yep.
10 Fingers is the consummate cult leader. He does not believe that he can be taken down, and he believes
Nope.
that he has duped so many people that he is basically unstoppable.
Unstoppable. Yeah, he's just like, he gets into his description later on, but you could tell this guy is already just like full steam ahead. I'm the man. I figured something out. And Matt immediately, I really like that. I really like that, like, the fact that they don't even try to play around with the idea of, well, Matt doesn't know quite where he's getting this power from. Matt's like, yo, this is the Hand. What are
Yeah.
you doing?
He's like, I know
This is
this
about to
song.
go. Yeah, right. I know this song. I've danced to this song.
Yeah.
No, this is bad, bad, bad news.
Yeah.
So
So our adventure picks up with the Hand infiltrating 10 Fingers' stronghold, and despite Daredevil advising him to escape, the cult leader stubbornly refuses to abandon his ground. True to his mantra of nobody dies, Daredevil stands resolute. Because that's his whole thing, right? He's like, I could just like take a seat and let them kill each other, and it would take care of a lot of my problems. But Daredevil's whole mantra is that nobody dies, so he ends
yep.
up finding himself defending 10 Fingers and his men against the Hand. The hand closes in. Daredevil gets to work, preventing the ninjas from slaughtering the cult leader and his men. But despite his best efforts, many of Finger's followers are still cut down by the deadly blades. I really liked how efficient they made the hand look in these issues. Like they're no
Yes.
joke. They just come in, they kill
Hmm.
pretenders, and then they bounce. It's
No.
very efficient. They've been doing this for a
Yes,
very
because
long time, and as it's shown with their efficientness. But go ahead.
no, 100% agree with you on that one. Because in the past, the hand I always looked at like the putties on Power Rangers. They come in, they get their asses kicked, and it's just like send in the real monster. The
Right.
hand here, man, they're taking care of business. They're just killing folks. They're just chopping people down. It's just
Yeah.
like wow. Again, like setting that this is not the happy um the Daredevil run that we had just previously experienced. This is dark and just getting darker and darker by the panel.
What's also really cool is that they've already set up this danger with Ten Fingers, right? The idea that he exists, the idea that he has followers, and so we're led to believe like he's the big bad. And by the end of issue one, we're kind of led to believe like, oh wow, there's already something bigger than him, and both of them are
Mm-hmm.
right now in front of Matt. So uh,
That's right.
the stakes instantly have raised. Um, so a member of the Hand, seemingly familiar with Daredevil's history, accuses him of working with Ten Fingers. Matt swiftly denies the accusation, but the tension lingers in the air because he's like, "What are you doing helping this guy? He's a thief."
Mm-hmm.
And Matt's like, "Well, like,
Yeah. Oh, then that makes you our enemy also. And I mean, this is also him coming right out of Shadowland. If you remember that
yes,
crossover where he
uh,
was in the leader of the Hand
yeah,
for a short period of time. So, so the Hand know him very well, like better than ever nowadays, and he knows them very well. He's stepping right in front of the train, knowing that like this train is going to get worse.
yeah." I also think it's interesting because it almost sort of mirrors his life as a lawyer, right? Like he takes these criminals and he defends them. He doesn't know if they're on the up. I mean, I guess him more than anybody else with his lie detection skills. But anyone could look at him and be like, "Why are you helping a thief? Why are you helping
Mm-hmm.
a a bank robber?" He may know the story or whatever, but on the outside looking in, it just looks like he's helping criminals.
Right.
And to him, these people are still innocent. So just as the confrontation reaches its peak, the members of the Hand, poof, suddenly vanish, leaving Ten Fingers to bask in what he perceives as a victory. However, Daredevil, ever cautious, warns the cult leader not to get too cocky, knowing that this battle is far from over, especially if he insists on using the Hand's stolen magic. Later, in the quiet of their hideout, Matt and Blindspot reflect on the situation. Matt wonders out loud what Ten Fingers' ultimate goal is, but his thoughts are interrupted when he notices Blindspot is injured. In a rare moment of vulnerability, Matt provides Blindspot with the contact information of a woman who can patch him up, despite Blindspot's undocumented status. It is a quiet but
The
poignant moment.
nightmares.
Yeah, a one of many. It's a quiet but poignant moment, but it just highlights the trust growing between them, right? Because he's already
Yeah.
putting him through with his connect, his Leslie is it Thompson.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
That's
Thompson. Leslie
Batman.
Thompson. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's
yeah,
Batman. Yeah.
yeah. But I like that. Like, and he's like fast tracking him. Like the stakes are up
Yeah.
now, so
Yeah.
we don't have
Yeah.
time for like the training wheel stuff anymore. And he's quite
Exactly.
ready
Like this.
to graduate him.
I felt like if this was a Batman moment, this is a Batman moment where like, oh, I gotta shut you down. You're done.
Yeah,
Or I'm gonna take you back to the Batcave, so to speak, and I'll patch you up, and then I'm gonna like ridicule you the whole time. The whole time he's sitting there like, oh, you took a hit. Damn, that sucks. Here, man, this lady's gonna take care of you. She knows what to do, and I'll see you in a little bit.
yeah.
This was not like father son. This was like dude who knows
Teammates.
stuff,
Yeah,
teammates, like dude who knows stuff, helping out someone who's still learning, and like you said, fast tracking them, just putting them on it. And side note, I really like the fact that Charles here really put the effort into throwing a 917. That got
yeah,
me so hyped.
yeah,
That got
yeah.
me hyped. I was like, oh, he's not doing this 555 nonsense. He's
Right,
he's getting
right.
down with it. He knows New York area code 917. I loved it. I love seeing it.
Gotta love that. But yeah, he doesn't come back and like get on his case about getting injured. He doesn't. They don't come back and he's like, "Oh my God, what did you drag me into?" He
Right.
fully understands all of this, and he's just like, "I need you to be, healthy for the next time we go through all this kind of stuff again."
Right.
Um, and now he's back to his civilian life when he meets with the DA, who expresses disappointment in Matt's failure to get Billy Lee to testify. Matt ends up demoted, and the weight of his failure begins to sink in as he silently chastises himself for letting things spiral out of control. But there's no time for self-pity. His paralegal bursts into the room, informing Matt that he has an unexpected visitor. To his surprise, it's none other than Ten Fingers himself. Everything's so messy for Matt, right? Everything's so damn messy.
Immediately. Yeah. I mean, he's right. He dropped the ball. He let a key witness not only quit the court case, but he got mutilated.
Yeah.
So he gets
in his
demoted.
custody.
He gets demoted to night court, which the only thing that got me excited about that was like, oh, maybe we're gonna see Bull, get some good John Larroquette action going on over here. I love night court.
Hey, it's an OG series.
Yeah, but then the twist in this is now, oh man, you're about to have to defend the villain.
Yeah. And how much does the villain know? We still don't know how much the villain knows. We still don't know what his goals are. And we got to play with time a little bit with this next issue because it opens with Daredevil taking down members of an illegal bomb-making operation in Red Hook, a job assigned to him by Old Man Cap. This is a Cap that Super Soldier Serum, I believe, ran out or something, and then he just starts to age.
He like lost it. This was, perfect timing for, Captain America Brand New World. This was during the time that Sam Wilson was the Captain America. So
100%.
I thought that was pretty cool. And I totally forgot that. Seeing old man Steve Rogers here, I was like, oh, that's when this was going on.
Yeah,
that's right.
Old Man Rogers means that we're going to end up going to Avengers Standoff, which is the event in which Steve Rogers becomes renewed through the Cosmic Cube. And then immediately after that is Captain Hydra. So
that's right. He pulls the John Cena.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, 100%. So as Matt methodically takes down the bomb makers, the weight of his mission becomes clear. This isn't just about stopping criminals, it's about fulfilling a larger duty, one that Cap believes Matt is the perfect person for. We flash back to Matt's office where Ten Fingers sits across from him, calmly explaining his side. Ten Fingers tells Matt that he isn't inherently evil. He reveals that he was once a member of the Hand, but stole their magic in a desperate attempt to save his people and lead them to a new future of power and prominence. He mocks Matt, a Christian, for thinking this path can be one of redemption and warns that he will let no one stand in his way of achieving greatness for his people. What do you think of this little chat between hero and villain here?
No, I mean, this is like the scene in every movie where you finally get to hear from the villain's mouth what their motivation is, who they are, who they believe they are. And this dude believes he's a god.
Yeah.
He's sitting there like, oh, I got some magic power and I got a bunch of people believing in me. And Matt, who is a devout Catholic, is just hearing all this like, one, you don't know what you're dealing with. Two, there's only one God, God damn it.
100%. Right?
and it sure as hell ain't you. And how do I keep playing this? Does he know who I really am? How do I play this off? It was a great exchange. I really like this because up until this point, I was like, is this Ten Fingers guy gonna really even matter? Like, what kind of villain is this guy gonna be? But the way he comes across in this scene, I really, really liked it. It's just like, wow, this dude is nuts, but he's got power, he's got a following, and he's got the balls to be like, yo, look, I want the protection of the First Amendment to have my religion here. This is how ballsy I am, and I'm gonna come in. Matt Murdock, you're gonna defend me.
100%.
You're gonna legitimize me. It's like,
and Matt can't give the game away because Ten Fingers has never met Matt. He's met Daredevil,
right?
But he can't just be like, hey, you stole those power from the Hand and they're after you. And he can't say anything. He has to just sit there and kind of take this sort of like just allow this edgelord to
and he can't rock the boat on it. He can't.
That's
rock
what
the
I'm
boat
saying.
on it.
Like he just gotta be like,
no, he really can't because he's already in shit deep. He's already in shit deep. He can't go to his boss now and be like, look, this is what's going on with this right now. The boss is gonna look at him like, Shut up, man.
Yeah, the very next case after you were demoted, bro, you already got problems. Like, do you even know how to do this job?
Exactly.
You know. Back in Red Hook, Daredevil continues his assault on the bomb makers. Captain America checks in with him, asking about Blind Spot's progress. Daredevil admits that while he doesn't know Blind Spot's real name or identity, wink, he trusts the kid. He believes in Blind Spot because he has a good heart and noble intentions, something Matt sees in him despite the mystery surrounding him. Meanwhile, in a tense moment, Samuel confronts his mother after catching her in a compromising position, making out with 10 fingers. There's no secret to his charm. I figure a man with 20 fingers will probably be a great partner.
Oh my god!
A
Oh my
great partner
god!
for
Oh
Lord.
my god!
That's pretty. I said that pretty PG. That was pretty PG. There, connect the dots, kids. But yeah, it's like get a room, like guys, can I talk to my mom for a second? Kind of stuff. It's really awkward. It's really awkward. And so Samuel tries to sway her from the cult, especially after the involvement of the hand. He's like, yeah, this is only going to get worse. I think we should kind of get out of here. I think we should leave this whole cult. In a heartbreaking moment, she threatens to kill anyone who stands in the way of the great leader. She's committed, even with her son trying to get them gone. In response, Samuel reveals a shocking secret. He is Blind Spot. Because she was like, oh, we'll kill everyone, including Blind Spot. He's like, oh, all right. You want to kill his Blind Spot? Well, here's Blind Spot, and he reveals himself.
I was surprised that he just reveals himself so quickly. I was like, "Geez, man!" Like
he was over it.
You know, I mean, he's vested, right? He's dealing with this on both sides now, because I don't remember how obvious they made it that he's a part of this. I felt like for me, not until this issue that I finally realized, oh wait, he's part of this.
It wasn't until Matt started talking about not knowing where Blind Spot was from that my comic book spider senses started to go off. Because whenever it's something like, oh yeah, he died years ago, I'm like, did he? Like I'm always questioning the mystery of it all. Things are nothing in comics is not for a reason. Like everything is intentional. So the fact that Daredevil would take somebody under his wing without knowing these things means that when that stuff gets revealed, it's going to be something of substance. So, but I did like this. And like you were saying, he just kind of goes into Blind Spot mode, but that, if anything, just describes how urgent all this is for him, right? Like he doesn't have another day to stake out things and try to convince his mom. He's like, the hand's coming back and they're going to kill us all. Can you please, get out of this cult? And I'm willing to almost even like spar with you if that's gonna change your mind at all about any of this. So it just shows you how desperate he is to get his mom out of this situation that he knows is just gonna get worse.
Right, not just his mom, but you could tell he cares about his whole neighborhood. He cares about all the people.
Yeah.
He knows that 10 Fingers is just taking advantage of everybody. So you can see why Daredevil likes him. He's very vigilant. He's you can tell this is a guy he's a man of his beliefs. He wants to take care of his neighborhood, and he's just as brazen with his freaking secret identity.
Yes.
Like, hey, man, this kid's like me, man. Everybody gets to know his secret immediately.
Yeah, because like we don't know who else is like in the other. These are like those old Asian like curtain doors and stuff, right? Like he's just yelling all kinds of stuff. I mean, later on, Daredevil's gonna straight up hear stuff. Be like, So he is a bit brazen, but again, it just I point to the brazen nature as just the urgency that he has over all this. Like we don't have time. We don't have time to be coy. He challenges his mom to a fight, hoping to force her to see that she doesn't need to stay with 10 Fingers. The fight ends with Samuel reminding her that she doesn't have to follow this dark path. But just as the tension breaks, a warrior from the hand materializes out of thin air, adding a deadly layer of complexity to the situation. It's actually how the comic ends, but I wanted to, or sort of, I wanted to just contain all of Sam's adventures in one. And now we'll go back to Matt and Red Hook. Matt's mission takes a dangerous turn when he discovers a room rigged to blow. With his blindness making it nearly impossible to disarm the bomb, Matt uses his heightened senses to track down a bomb maker attempting to flee. With seconds to spare, Matt forces him to disarm the bomb, narrowly avoiding disaster. I thought that was pretty funny, right? Like he looks at the bomb, he can't see what the timer says.
He can't see. It's like it's digital. Damn it.
Yeah, and then literally just grabs a man. They got like 10 seconds left. He's like, disarm this now.
Disarm this now,
Yeah.
or we're not moving.
Yes. I thought that was really badass of him.
Yeah, I dug the whole time that he's interacting with Cap, and he's remorseful at the fact that he has somehow kept his secret identity secret again. Because
Yes.
Cap himself is even talking to him like, "I trust you. I don't know why I trust you because I don't know who you are, but I trust you." And Daredevil was just like, "Yeah, we're not ready to reveal that quite yet."
We know that people don't know his secret identity, but like you just said, this is our first instance of like, oh, Matt did something. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Like this is
right,
not a like, some evil villain did it and he's remorseful that he didn't get to stop him. This is like, oh, I did something and I don't
right.
really feel like I need to explain it to these people, but I still kind of feel bad. It is the appearance of a very familiar tool in Daredevil's uh, utility belt, Catholic guilt. Is
Yes,
now
it is.
here, is now here, and he is like, I feel terrible about all
Right,
this.
right.
Uh, Later, Matt meets with Captain America, who thanks him for his timely intervention. Although Matt feels the weight of his decisions and secrets, he considers confessing to everything: his secret identity, his recent dealings with the Hand, all the lies he's told. But when the moment comes, Matt can't bring himself to do it. He calls himself a coward for not coming clean, but for now, he remains trapped in his world of secrecy, unsure of how to move forward. And this is another instance that just drives home the point of how alone he is in this war. Now, one could venture to guess that one of the reasons why he did this is to not have any other casualties. Matt's somebody that a lot of his friends end up dying because of their proximity to Matt, right?
Right.
And what do you think of this moment here where he just can't decide whether or not to let Cap in and then ultimately decides not to?
No, he's experienced what it is to have all these people know his secret identity, right? And he's like
Yeah.
you said, knowing his secret identity usually leads to just stacks of bodies, and usually those bodies are people he really cares about. Karen Page, Elektra, you know what I mean? So here he is. He's just like, want to tell him, but no, he obviously did something huge. So I think he knows if I let like one person in, will it undo everything and make
Yeah.
everybody remember? You know what I mean? And he can't afford that. He can't afford that. Apparently, the only person who knows somehow is Foggy, and Foggy's pissed about it.
Yeah.
So, if you reveal this to Cap, Cap is the sentinel of
Liberty. Yeah.
honesty and
Hmm.
liberty. Well, sentinel of liberty, but of honesty, and telling the truth. He's Hulk Hogan, man. Eat your vitamins, tell the truth. All that good stuff.
Right.
So if he confesses to Cap, it's gonna lead to bad things. He knows it's gonna, like, the genie's gonna come out of the box. I mean, Cap is the guy who was, remember when he was on the what's that team, the secret team, the
Oh,
Illuminati.
yeah. Yes.
And that he was like, nah, I'm not feeling this. I'm not going to be part of this. And they had to wipe his mind. They were like,
Yeah.
I told you not to invite this guy.
Yeah.
So,
100%. And
so
and
he
oh,
knows.
I feel like all these heroes are also kind of, without knowing, giving Matt openings to tell the truth, because a lot of them are saying the same thing, like, hey, anytime you need my help, I feel like something's
Is it,
missing.
is it,
I feel like I can't really remember
you
something,
know?
and it always puts Matt on the spot. Every time that happens is another opportunity for Matt to tell the truth,
Right, right,
and he has been just kind of running from it. But again, what you know what caused him to do this? What caused him to take away people's memories? And it must be so big that he needs to maintain it. And
right,
like you said, if you're gonna let Cap in, what's the lid on that, right?
right.
Like, let Cap in,
Mm-hmm.
you let Spider-Man in. Does that mean all the Avengers? Now we're talking about the Defenders now. Like,
Right.
to what does he owe these people ultimately? And he is willing to go down this road by himself, and ultimately he realizes he doesn't owe anyone anything. Whether that's good or bad is people
Yep.
can jump to their own conclusions. But in this moment, Daredevil is definitely laser focused on something, and he needed his identity to be a secret to accomplish his goals.
That's it.
Um, The hand's secret weapon is revealed. The Fist, a relentless undead killing machine designed to annihilate everything in its path. Realizing he's completely outmatched, Ten Fingers makes a desperate move. He sacrifices his own followers, imbuing them with fragments of his stolen power, forcing them into the Fist's crosshairs as expendable distractions. This is what, like, there are obviously a breadcrumb trail of clues that lead you to believe that this man is a charlatan, but this is like, this is the moment, right? Like, this is like the whole, like,
when it all hits the fan, he's just like, you know what? Sacrifice these members.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
and then he's like, lock the doors, let them kill them all. We'll get a new congregation. We'll get new followers. Don't even worry about it. We'll set up across the street.
We got 1 billion of these guys, man. We'll get a whole bunch of them.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Blind Spot prepares for battle and sends a coded message to Matt through social media, signaling him to head to the temple. When Daredevil arrives, he witnesses Ten Fingers abandoning his congregation, fleeing for his own survival. Refusing to let innocent people die again, Matt takes on the Fist, engaging in a brutal fight to keep the cult members alive. As Daredevil battles the undead warrior, Blind Spot works to evacuate the remaining survivors until he's confronted, boom, 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 by his own mother, flanked by Ten Fingers' remaining loyalists. Sam tells her that she was the only person he truly wanted to save tonight, but if she refuses to leave this life behind, he has no choice but to stand against her, which I thought was a pretty badass moment. He was like, "Hey, like I gave you your shot," and you can see at one point in trying to usher the people out of the building, you can see the trust they have in him, which is the trust he wanted to gain from them. He's doing all this for these people, for his people, and he promises them that they're gonna get away. He's like, "I'm Blind Spot and I never lie," or something across those lines. And then ultimately, when he confronts his mother, he says the same thing. Like, in this moment, he is not Sam. He's something bigger than Sam. He's Blind Spot, the hero of his people, the hero of Chinatown. And that's who you're going to be confronted with, not, anyone who has sympathy towards you. I thought that was a pretty bold move in that moment.
No, definitely. I mean, this guy is setting himself up as his own character. He's not just, hey, Gene Willikers, Matt, this is his own dude. And I really like that. What I really liked before this, though, was seeing the armaments.
Go ahead, brother.
Of this guy. You saw it when we put up the post saying that we were going to do this podcast, and I showed the weapons. Man, what does a gun having 9 triggers mean, man?
I don't even know. What happens if you press them all at the same time? You can only shoot a bullet at a time. I
can imagine just Soule and Garney just being like, "Yo, this guy's got 10 fingers. Let's give him a ridiculous, it's just stupid gun."
Yeah.
It was so silly. It was so goofy. It really, to me, showed like, okay, this is not going to be the villain. And I was kind of happy about that. But at the same, so I like that they just like goofed it up a little bit in that moment, in that little moment. It was really, really fun because he's already showing how, an issue ago, this guy's talking about, he thinks he's God and all this stuff. And Matt's just like looking at him like, "Nah, bro, you fucked up. You fucked up." And the very next issue is he's sacrificing his own members. He's on the run, and he's got ridiculous weapons that make no sense.
We were talking a little bit about Batman in this, and this feels like a gimmicky 70s Batman villain. Where not only is he 10 fingers, but he has statues with 10 fingers. He has guns with 9 triggers. He has the whole motif down. But even with all this, as you said, it's not like he's like, "Open the armament. We're going to take it to the hand." He's all like, "Open the safe. I need to get the money and I need to fucking bounce. And we will deal with this. We will deal with this, in Little Italy when I set up shop down there."
That's right. That. You could totally see him having that moment of, "Until next time, blind man, Daredevil."
100%. Yeah. And they've yet to fight. Daredevil's yet to fight him because he keeps defending him because the hand is way more deadly. So while chaos unfolds inside the temple, Ten Fingers tries to escape with all his stolen riches, his greed consuming him to the bitter end. But just as he thinks he's made it out, he's confronted by an unseen figure off panel. His final moment is one of sheer terror before the scream pierces the night. With immense effort, Daredevil manages to restrain the fist and rushes to stop Ten Fingers, only to find the cult leader's lifeless, mutilated body pinned to the wall, a gruesome reminder of the forces at play. Yeah, I like looked over this whole part a million times. He doesn't kill the fist, right? He just like he gets his
Well,
billy club
the
around its
fist,
neck and like leaves it there, like he like restrains it,
yeah,
right?
I mean the fist is essentially a giant zombie,
Yeah,
so it's like he even says it in one of the panels. He was like, oh, it's he's not alive, but he's dead, so it's like it's stopping it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And so he essentially disables the fist. But the bigger issue here is the fact that the Ten Fingers is like you said, mutilated, and to the point where does it seem to you like his arm was even like ripped off and put
They
somewhere
put them all
else?
on the same side. They put like
Yeah,
appendages on the same side, which is very strange.
it was
And
very gruesome.
with everything that's going on here, it's easy to be led to believe, oh, they just it's a member of the hand.
Right.
Like it's an unseen member of the hand got to him for all this because that's what they were here for. And it is what it is, open and shut case. But we'll find out later on that maybe there's a little
Later
bit
on,
more
not
there.
quite. Not
Yes.
quite.
Later, Matt considers confronting Blindspot about a secret he overheard, his connection to Ten Fingers, or should we say his mom's. But
Mom.
ultimately, he decides to let it go. When Blindspot asks if their work is done, Matt gives him the hard truth. The job of a superhero is never done.
Never done.
Boom, boom,
That's the
boom.
fun. But he describes it as fun.
Yeah, he does. And I think it's
He's
even
like,
more fun that he has Blindspot with him.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in this new world right now, who does he have? He ain't
That's what
got
I'm saying.
Foggy. He's got
It's so
nobody. He's
lonely.
got it's. You wonder if he even took Blind Spot under because of that as well. Like, well, this kid's got a similar personality to me, and shit, I don't have anybody right now. So why the hell not?
Yeah. And even in almost everything I've read, and like even in the television show, even though Foggy knows of Matt being Daredevil, he doesn't necessarily encourage it.
Right. Right.
So it's way easier to convince somebody who's already looking up to you what your cause is than it is somebody who's already against you. So I can totally see this whole partnership with Blindspot. Our next story is a little strange. It's a little strange. And it kicks off at 2 a.m. in Hell's Kitchen, where Daredevil waits in tense anticipation for Elektra's arrival. When she finally appears, she wastes no time. Before Matt can
No
even
time.
process what's happening, she nearly kills him on sight. It's clear that she has every intention of slaying the devil of Hell's Kitchen, but Matt has no idea why. A little bit of a mystery
None.
set up here, but yeah,
Yeah.
she was going for the kill.
Yeah. Doing that classic storytelling of, all right, let's put you here, and now we're gonna
Without the
do a
context.
little backward storytelling. Let's figure out why she's willing to try to kill Matt, or not even Matt, Daredevil. Just Daredevil.
Yes,
Again, she doesn't know. No one knows that Daredevil is Matt Murdock.
100%. As Matt we flash back to earlier that day at the New York Supreme Court. As Matt actively prosecutes a case, Elektra suddenly walks into the courtroom. Panic sets in with Matt, but he keeps his composure, pretending not to notice her. This should be impossible. Her memory was wiped like everyone else's, meaning she shouldn't remember his connection to Daredevil. As he finishes up and tries to slip past her unnoticed, she calls his name. And we pause there. We go back to nighttime, the present, quote unquote. Back to the present, Elektra is relentless, tearing into Matt with an unmatched ferocity. Each strike, each slash is meant to kill. He struggles to keep up, unable to figure out what's driving her rage. Just as she moves in for the killing blow, Blindspot appears. He's been shadowing Matt during his nightly patrols. The young hero.
The moment he stepped in, I was just like, this is not good.
This is literally like a fight between a couple, and somebody, a bystander.
A couple of people who are well equipped to murder. One
Yes.
who's obviously ready to murder somebody.
Yeah.
And now someone who she has no connection to whatsoever
Just shows
is now in
up.
the middle of it.
Yeah, it just shows up.
Oh my God.
Yeah, the young hero manages to save Matt's life, but pays for it dearly. Elektra snaps his arm in the process, like nothing. Like it literally as like a show of force, like as a deterrent. Like, well, all right, you want to be in the fight.
That's it.
But seeing his protege suffer ignites something in Daredevil, and he finally commits to the fight. He's like, "All right, if there's gonna be a fight, then that's what this is gonna be." And I was like, oh, "That again shows you how far him and Blindspot have come, right?
That's
Where
it. Hmm.
he like this makes him flip out.
Yeah, yeah.
He knows that this
You
is
know,
a kid under
he's
his wing.
yeah, he's pulling his punches the whole time, willing to take these hard hits from Elektra. But the moment his buddy, his protege, someone who he wants to protect, gets hurt, he's just like, oh, it's a wrap. And especially he's also annoyed too. He's also like, why, like Elektra knows. Elektra can tell, like, I didn't need to break this guy's arm.
Yeah,
She's doing it just to be brutal, just to be like the audacity of this novice fighter to come and even try to put their hands on me. That you could tell that was her own hubris in that moment.
oh,
And you know,
100%.
Daredevil knows, like, you didn't have to do that. You didn't have to do that. So he's pissed. So just the same way he defends people in the courtroom, he's defending, his protege right here.
The entire way that she's confronted him is in a way that is done in a way that it feels like he should know, right? It feels
Right.
like he should, like she's going so hard that she's looking at him like, why don't you know why I'm doing this? Like
Right.
you should know because you've done some shit basically,
Right.
and you're going to atone for it. But Matt's like, I have no idea what's going on, and now Blindspot has a broken arm. We get another flashback, this time to after the courthouse encounter. Elektra and Matt sit across from each other sharing a drink. His mind races, wondering why she sought him out if her memory was erased. When she casually asks Matt to set up a meeting between her and Daredevil, since she knows that they are quote unquote good friends, his suspicions briefly dull. Maybe she's just in town for business. Maybe he's overthinking it. Back in Hell's Kitchen, the battle rages on. As Daredevil struggles against her relentless attacks, he finally demands answers. Why is she doing this? Elektra spits back a single word, liar. Her rage is palpable. She accuses him of betraying her, of doing something unforgivable, but Matt is completely lost.
Yeah.
It's like she saw Matt's text messages, and Matt's like, "What's going on? What are you talking about? What's going on?" That was 3 years ago. So Matt's completely lost. Before he can press on further, Elektra silences him with one final, seething question, one that sends his world into a tailspin. What have you done with my daughter? What?
Yeah.
What? Now I'm sitting there like, Matt, like, wait a minute. Did I miss a whole
Right.
thing? Because, gosh, is it her? There was somebody I just recently read that was you were led to. Oh, Black Canary has some other little girl that she looks out for. It was in Best of the Best, or maybe
Oh,
Birds of
really?
Prey. Yeah, I can't remember.
I didn't
But it's
know.
just like one of those. Oh, I didn't know that. So in the same instance, I'm like, is there an entire Elektra family that I'm not aware of that I'm just about to get, kind of tuned into because of this?
I was thinking, back in the 90s, Elektra had her own series for a bit where
Yeah.
she took under her own, like, protege, and that character became like her daughter. I can't remember the name of that character right now.
Okay.
But I was like, oh, are they bringing that character back? Because I do remember liking her. I mean, but it was like, man, Soule's digging deep if he's going to bring back this character from, 20 years ago, But in the next issue, we find out it's not quite that.
And also, like, what would Matt have to do with any of this? Right? Like,
Well,
what? No, I'm saying, like, in this instance, like, where is my daughter? He's already on like the first half of that question, which is like, you have a daughter, and then later on he's gonna be like, why would you think I have her? Like, what put you on my trail that I would
right.
be keeping her or have her kidnapped or anything? And we're gonna find out all that in this next
Yeah.
issue here.
I started to think that maybe this is kind of the negative effects of whatever it is he did to make people forget who he was. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? Because maybe he did have a kid,
right.
and a ramification of that is, oh, even I forgot that because she forgot who I am. So therefore, how can I know I have a kid? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
there's
I thought
definitely
they were going to
layers to
play that.
this. There's
Mhm.
definitely layers to this because there's a part of him that initially feels like the reason why she's attacking him is because she's realized that he's messed with her mind. There's a bit of him that's like, oh, she knows, and
Right.
but it's not that at all. It's because she still doesn't know that Matt and Daredevil are one and the same.
Right,
Uh,
right. Because this
um,
was, at the same time, Spider-Man had done something similar with this, with his secret identity after he revealed himself in Civil War.
yeah.
And one of the characters that similarly kind of went crazy, knowing that itch was in the back of her head, like, I should know who Spider-Man is, was Black Cat. And Black Cat went
Ah,
so nuts with it that, like, she went on a super crime spree, tried to become like a mob boss, all for the sake of just getting in Spider-Man's face to be like, yo, I know I should know something about you, but I don't, and it's making me so mad that I'm becoming a villain. So this kind of made me think of that too, like, oh, she knows something's in the, because Elektra is also someone that's been manipulated.
yeah.
She was manipulated by the Hand. She's been manipulated by other villains as well. So
And she
this is
also
someone.
would have just been coming off of this whole Electra's a Scroll thing. She would have been in custody for a very long time, having been
There you
captured by
go.
the Scrolls. So her
Right.
whole life has kind of been mangled up, and now this is just another layer of just something not going right with her. And it perfectly stated. Thank you for giving me that background with Black Cat and Spider Man, because that quite literally spills into this. All of that
Mhm.
spills into this. Black Cat's criminal whole situation, Spider-Man, all that kind of dovetails at the end of this of our 9 issue recap here. But Alexa's rage only intensifies when Matt tries to tell her that she doesn't have a daughter. He's like, "You don't have a daughter, bro," and she just starts throwing her size. And he's like, "Oh, here we go."
There we
Uh,
go.
in response, she lunges at him, aiming to impale him with one of her size. But as they clash, Matt notices something. While she's fighting with blind fury, she is holding back just enough to not outright kill him. He wonders if deep down she's starting to doubt her own accusation that he has something to do with this. Instead of fighting back, Matt surrenders, urging her to explain who this daughter is. That's when Elektra reveals her painful secret. She speaks of her tragic past, her father's death, and something she never told him before. Years ago, she was pregnant. The child, a girl named Iona, would be about 11 years old today. Knowing her life as a contract killer would put the child in danger, she left her in the care of Stick and the Chase. She had hoped that by staying away, she could spare Iona from the kind of life that she lived. But now she's horrified by the idea that her child may have fallen into the wrong hands. Seems like a pretty standard introduction. Like, okay, if that's
Yeah,
what
I mean,
this is,
this
like, I have
felt
no
like,
reason to
oh
question
wow,
it.
this felt like classic. What's that term? What's that term when you go
Retconning?
back and rewrite stuff? Retconning.
Retconning?
This felt like
Yeah.
classic retconning. I was like, wow, okay, so they're giving Elektra a daughter. Now they're introducing her. What's her angle going to be now in this whole series, in this new Marvel universe that they're establishing here?
Yeah.
Oh man, does it go a whole different way?
Yeah, because that's another thing we should say. This was right in the crux of all this all new, all different stuff.
Yes, it was right.
So who knows what's continuity? Who knows, what things are here to change to set up for this brand new universe? So yeah, why not have a daughter? They literally dropped the kid off at Bruce Wayne's house, right? And was like, oh yeah, by the way, in that one story that you read, there a child was conceived, and you don't
Right.
question it. You just kind of go with
That's
it,
it.
and that's what she's putting in front.
Damien.
Yeah, that's what she's putting here in front of Matt. It's like, oh, you just weren't there, but totally had a kid, and he was totally with the Chase. Um,
Totally makes sense.
Matt is still confused as to why she believes he, of all people, is responsible. That's when Elektra pulls out a phone and plays a video. According to her, it's a haunting scene of Iona trained by the Hand with Daredevil himself overseeing it. She demands to know if he denies what's right in front of him, but there's one problem. Matt can't see the footage. I kind of laughed here in this moment because I thought I thought his denial would make the fight start again. And he can't, I mean, I guess he could tell her that he's blind, but he doesn't want to. He doesn't want people to know any more than they already know about Daredevil. She knows Matt Murdock is blind, so maybe
Right.
giving that up, boom, we're
Mhm.
back to giving up my secret identity. But
I can imagine in that moment being like, so I could better follow what's happening. Can you turn the volume up?
I've never seen mass blindness been used this often for like dramatic effect. Like the bomb stuff from
Yeah.
earlier,
Mhm.
and now this here where it's like, oh, you can't do nothing in this moment. Like you can't,
No,
there's nothing for you to do.
I I like that they did that because it makes you think, wow, in this digital age, there's a lot he still can't see.
Yeah,
Yes, yeah, sure, he can do all this radar sense stuff, but
yeah.
he can't see screens. He can't see these modern electronic billboards. So there's a lot he's missing out on, you know?
And his ex-girlfriend is literally waving a phone in his face and saying, answer for this. And he has, he can't even start to
Like,
begin because he can't see anything.
he's like, yeah, let me get back to you.
Yeah,
Can I take this
let me
with me?
hold that. Let me hold that
I
phone
gotta
real
borrow
quick.
this. I gotta go. But I got you. I got you.
Yeah, I'll be right back, I swear to you. So later he takes the phone to Foggy, desperate for answers. As they discuss the possibility that the child could be his, Matt examines the phone and finds something chilling. There's no video on it.
No video.
Someone is manipulating Elektra, feeding her false memories and turning her against Daredevil for reasons unknown. I do like that these two friends kind of, well, you think it's yours? I mean, it could be yours. Kind of, I like that kind of conversation between friends because early when this starts to happen, Matt's even trying to do the math, right? He's like, carry the one, 11 years old. There was that Saturday, there was that Saturday night after beating up the hand. Son of
just,
a,
damn it.
Catholic guilt.
I was gonna say the Catholic guilt. Oh no.
He's already thinking about. He's like, what college do I have to pay for? I gotta set this right. I have to set this right. But yeah. As Matt steps outside to process this revelation, he gets a call from Linda Carter. That's who they decided to name this nurse.
Did they give it? I know they said Linda. I don't remember them saying Carter.
Yeah, Linda Carter.
Really? I didn't catch that.
I'm pretty sure she's a wonderful nurse.
A wonderful woman.
Yeah. But she gets a call from Linda Carter, the night nurse. She updates him on Blind Spot's injuries, but she also expresses concern over the young hero being dragged in such dangerous conflicts. This reminds me of all the like Batman child soldier talk, right? Like, you just kind of roped this kid in and now he's out fighting for you. And Matt knows this. It's the reason why she has his number, because he is concerned about the danger that he can get into and hoping that he can use some of Matt's sort of connections to, help his health. His arm's currently broken. Before she can scold Matt even further, though, Blind Spot asks to speak to Daredevil directly. Apologizing for the trouble, he insists he doesn't care about his broken arm. It was worth it to save his mentor. But he admits that he's worried. With his arm shattered, he can't work, meaning that he won't be able to pay the rent. Mm-hmm. Daredevil tells him to find his friend Matt Murdock, who will help him secure work, regardless of his undocumented status. Blind Spot is beyond grateful. But during this, like, he's talking to Blind Spot, and Blind Spot's like, I'm so sorry, boss. And, a broken arm is the price to pay. And Matt's like, this kid, man, like, I want to, like, yell at him and I want to punish him and I want to bench him. But he's just doing kind of what he's told, and he's kind of good at it. He doesn't want to stop the fight. He's almost impressed with him a little bit here. And I just like the idea of, like, hey, go see this friend of mine. He'll get you a job, and it's him. I just think that's kind of
convenient.
Funny. Yeah,
it's so convenient. Like, but what's great? That's a great part about Matt Murdock's secret identity is the fact that no one suspects it, because this blind dude can't possibly be this guy who's jumping over on buildings and jumping into rivers and doing all this crazy acrobatics. This is a blind guy. It's not like I'm always fascinated when people don't see through the veil of Bruce Wayne. It's like, oh man, dude, you're built like Batman, dude.
Yeah.
And you're
the only one built that way.
Right. You're the only one built that way. And you have, access to resources. You're a billionaire. You're never really around.
I wonder if they ever wear like lifts in their shoes, just to throw people off.
So
10-foot Daredevil, still, man. Let's get it.
Yeah, right.
But I also love that, like, we're in the middle of this Elektra mystery, and then we just get like a call in from Blind Spot. Right? He's like, hold on, let me answer. I gotta come again. Compartmentalization, right? Mm-hmm. Like, even as Matt, they're not calling Matt; they're calling Daredevil. Linda called Daredevil. Right. So then he has to switch over to Daredevil and talk to Blind Spot. And then he has to be Devil.
You think he does? You think he does a Christian Bale?
That would be pretty funny.
Hold on.
That's pretty funny. One of the things that I like, a very short tangent, one of the things that I like about Charlie Cox's portrayal of Matt Murdock is he speaks with a softness of somebody who can hear everything.
Yes.
He speaks very delicately because he speaks like if everyone in the room has a hangover.
Right. Well, he's speaking like someone who everything sounds immense
Yeah,
to him.
yeah.
So the
So
last thing he wants to do is be, hey man, like,
he's very controlled in his voice. So
yeah.
yeah, I wonder if he puts on something for Daredevil. Uh, Later that night, Daredevil tracks down, or later that day, Daredevil tracks down Elektra and tells her the truth. There was nothing on the phone. Someone planted this idea in her mind, someone who wanted her to believe it. Despite this revelation, she refuses to let it go. The idea that she may never find her daughter enrages her, and she rejects Matt's help, leaping away into the night. But he follows. He catches her up to her in an alley where she is interrogating a terrified man, the one she claims gave her the phone. As she threatens to end his life, Daredevil intervenes, because no one dies on his watch. Before he can act, the man whispers something strange. The tangled web we weave. The words hit Elektra like a shock to the system. She freezes in place, her expression shifting from fury to sudden clarity. And in that moment of hesitation, the man escapes. When she finally regains her senses, reality crashes down. She never had a daughter. The memories, the video, everything she believed, it was all a fabrication designed to manipulate her into killing Daredevil. Matt watches as the weight of this revelation settles over her. He sees the pain of losing something that was never real, a grief that hits just as hard as if it had been. He tries to empathize, but Elektra shuts him down. If she never existed, there's no one to disappoint. She forces a smirk, urging him to see this as a happy ending. Kind of dark,
Very, very,
heartbreaking here.
very.
And it is like all her talk about like not being worthy of being a mother, or not being worthy of like letting her child to see the kind of life that she's living. Um, all this talk about how she could be better and all this stuff, all to find out that all of it was for
It was
naught.
just, it was fate. It was just like, oof.
Not only does she have to confront the idea that she's been taken advantage of, but she has to confront this idea that she may have wanted something for the first time that she may have never admitted.
Right. And just was
And
completely false.
what does that mean? And Matt knows that this is jacked up. And there's a bit of Matt that feels like him playing with her mind didn't help matters in
Right.
all this. So he even like says like offhandedly, like even though he knows he didn't do this, he's sorry. Like like I definitely hasn't helped matters, because one could see that maybe if she knew Daredevil was Matt, maybe this could have got nipped in the bud away a long time ago.
Yeah, exactly.
But this ended up becoming more complicated because of Matt's desire to keep everyone in the dark as to who
Right.
Daredevil is.
Right.
Um,
So
she's
no matter what side of it you choose, there's good and bad.
yeah,
You know.
yeah, and like while this isn't Bullseye on top of the roof sticking the side through her, right? Um,
It's ripping
he's
her heart out.
yeah, he saved her from things like that, but he can't save her from getting hurt. He still can't save her from getting hurt.
No.
And she is also a person that is not used to getting hurt. She's not
Right.
used to being this vulnerable. And I think
Yeah,
that's where all this rage came from.
right. She's a cold-blooded assassin,
Yeah, these things shouldn't mean anything to her, to the point that when she first started attacking Matt's like, oh, par for the course, but she's being a little rough. Like this is still
Yeah.
Elektra trying to, always deadly, always seen as a femme fatale, but in
Right.
this moment, hands down the most vulnerable. But she's not done. Someone orchestrated this, and she intends to make them pay on her terms. With one final warning for Matt to stay out of her way, she vanishes into the night, leaving him standing alone in the cold streets of Hell's Kitchen, wondering who could have pulled the strings of the international assassin. What'd you think of that
Interesting.
story?
It made me wonder, like, is this something that gets picked up way later on in this Daredevil series, or did they give like Elektra miniseries or something at this time to deal with the ramifications of that? I don't know.
Yeah, I was wondering as well. I'm not good with patience when it comes to some of these mysteries like this. I want to know, like, I want to know now. Like, I'm in the middle of the story. Tell me now. Don't tell me I have to go somewhere else to figure out what's happening here. That's how I felt about the lack of identity. I'm like, where do I have to go to get the context for this? Apparently, I just had to continue. So that's really, really interesting.
Yeah, no. So yeah, like you said, I was really getting sucked into this. So I was like, man, this was such a freaking good story. Like, I gotta follow along all the threads now.
Yeah. And yeah, I thought while ultimately nothing happens, this was a hell of a character story for both Matt and for Elektra, and how everything has played out. Their entire very twisted history, the tangled web. I mean, the web stuff, right? That's got to be something. Is it Black Cat, maybe?
Yeah, right.
But initially, I thought it was like a Winter Soldier thing. I thought it was like she was activated, kind of thing. When she when he tells her the line, and I thought he like paralyzed her, or like did some sort of mind control thing. And it's like, no, that's when the truth, uh,
Right. Just hits her.
just hits her, and she's just frozen because of the revelation, which is somehow more heartbreaking than if she was paralyzed by the phrase.
Yep.
Our final story is a two-part tale called Blind Man's Bluff. In it, Matt Murdock, under the alias Laurent Levasseur,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
enters a high-stakes poker tournament in Macau for reasons yet unknown. Unable to read the cards due to his blindness and prevented from identifying them by touch due to the casino's anti-cheating measures, he instead relies on his unparalleled ability to read people, exploiting their tells to advance to the finals. Before reaching the last round, he meets a striking woman named Adhira, who questions his background and poker skills. Matt, ever evasive, only offers cryptic responses. A flashback then reveals his true purpose. While interrogating a thug as Daredevil, he learns that Black Cat hid something valuable in Macau. So again, this feels a little Batman-ish. This feels a little Matches Malone, in the underground. To what end, we don't know. I don't think. Do you believe what he says is in this, in the case?
No. No.
Absolutely not.
No, because he's lying to everybody.
Yeah.
He's lying to everybody already. So it's like, no, there's something in here that you can't, this will affect you directly.
Yeah.
So what is it? What is it?
Right. Yep. Unbeknownst to most players, this tournament itself is a setup. The casino employs a telepath named Apex as an inside man, ensuring he wins and cashes out without disrupting the gambling industry. Have him, what is it, inside the castle pissing out, then outside the castle pissing in?
That's right. That's right. I thought that was really, really cool.
Yeah.
How they just were like, yeah, look, we're going to just make you work for us.
Yeah. And then they just split the winnings every tournament, and the casino stays in power. None of the money goes to anybody they don't want it to go to ultimately.
That's right.
And as a telepath, this man is undefeated because it doesn't have to read your tells, or your face, he just reads your mind.
That's it.
And so it's over. Matt, however, is fully aware of Apex's abilities and his habit of scanning opponents' minds to read their hands. I like how cavalier he is, right? Where he's like, it is called gambling. I'm going to just try to win with some luck.
That's it. That's
just Matt. I think that's Matt just being charming, just trying to, just. I don't know. I like his little swagger with this strange lady.
Oh, definitely. He's just embracing the fact that, look, I'm a whole nother person. I'm gonna roll with it, and this is something he has done in the past.
Yeah,
he's had like. Do you remember when he was Mike Murdock?
I do. His brother, right? And his brother turns up and he's like, "What the hell?"
Yeah, I think a twin brother or a twin cousin or something like that. Something like that. Yeah, right. So he's done this before. He's done this game before. So I'm wondering, is he doing a French accent?
Oh yeah, right. I feel like he'd be terrible at it. I feel like he'd be
terrible at it. It would be awful.
Immediately call.
Oh yeah, with a Brooklyn, with his New York French accent. Yeah, it would be so bad. It'd be like.
Also, I felt like Adira was gonna do something, be something. I wonder if she comes up later, because she ultimately just has this conversation with him, and then we don't see her again. But I love the fact that because Matt knows that this guy reads people's minds to then eventually read their hands. Being blind, Matt has no cards for Apex to see, so Apex taps into his brain and looks through his eyes and sees what a blind man sees, which is blank cards.
Right.
When the telepath digs deeper, he unknowingly steps into a mental battlefield where Daredevil, trained to resist psychic intrusion, turns the tables. The two clash in Matt's subconscious, and Apex, unable to focus, collapses just as Matt wins the tournament. What do you think about this mental fight? And I just want to say I love the idea that he was like, It's not really happening this way. This is how I imagine it.
Right,
I like that
right,
little editor's
yeah,
note of like, don't take this
right.
too seriously. Yeah. What do you think about this mind fight here?
I thought it was great. It really reminded me. It really reminded me of a classic story where Charles Xavier first meets the Shadow King,
Ah,
and they have their first mental duel where they're just sitting at tables away from each other, but the whole time they're having a psychic battle like this, and then the
yeah.
battle just ends with the Shadow King like passing out and Charles Xavier just walking out like triumphant.
Yeah. And this
So
Matt Dom's the gloves, the son of battling Jack. He puts on those mental boxing gloves and beats the hell out of Apex, who is not used to losing, but ends up losing this one. And Matt ends up $10 million richer. But despite securing a $10 million prize, Matt can't take the money. It's written out to his false identity. Bum bum bum, which has to suck. He suits up as Daredevil, preparing for the real reason he came to Macaw, but is caught off guard by a familiar face waiting outside his window, the amazing Spider-Man.
I was really hyped for that. I was so hyped because classic Spidey Daredevil team ups. It was so cool to see him. And again, this is talking about being a part of the whole all new, all different stuff. I immediately recognized that this was the all new, all different Spider-Man, where he's in China, so it makes sense that he can just hop right over and meet up with Matt here.
Yeah,
So
this is slot. This
really,
is
really
slot
cool.
Spider-Man, right?
This is still slot. This is still
Yeah.
slot, but this is like the tail end of the slot where Peter has become rich. He's like the super rich scientist at this point. He set up Parker Industries, I believe is what he called it.
Mm-hmm.
He sets that up in China as one of the headquarters, and so it
So
was
he's
really,
in
really
town.
cool
He
to
can
see
drop.
this.
He could drop in on an old friend. An old friend he
Exactly.
knows is an old friend, but doesn't know anything else
But
past that.
that's it. That's
He's
it.
an
So it makes
he.
the next issue a lot of fun.
Yeah, he's another one that just can't. He just can't figure out. There seems to be something missing. He can't figure out what it is. Turns out our favorite wall crawler is here to help. So Daredevil fills him in. He's planning a casino heist. The top floor of the casino is where the bosses stash their most valuable secrets, and among them is a leather briefcase Daredevil needs to intercept. The only way up, you have to be a high roller. Luckily, Matt's French alias Laurent has that covered. He gives Spidey all this exposition about like the threats, and then ultimately he's like, "Yeah, but I have a way in. Like I already have a way to get in. I already have
Right.
a high
Right.
roller door or whatever." I like that when they get to the apartment. Um, Spidey's like, "Why is this check written out? Why do you have a $10 million check written out to some French dude?"
Yeah. Right. And Matt himself, even recognizes like I can't even cash this. It's not my name. Like this
Yeah,
is a meaningless check. I must just crumble it up, throw it away.
I like how Soule writes Spidey in this.
Yeah.
I think he's
Yeah.
playful. I think he's funny. And he's heartfelt when he needs to he
Mhm.
needs to be. I guess we've been dealing with all this brooding Matt for a while that it was cool to get him to play off for somebody else.
Yes, and even Matt himself is having fun here because he's not burdened with being Matt Murdock. He's like, I'm just being this suave French gambler. I'm flirting with all these women. I'm playing poker. I'm teaming up with my boy Spidey. So this was definitely a nice reprieve before the next story arc where we know stuff gets nasty.
It's about to go down. So using Laurent's high roller status, they gain access to the exclusive floor. After some quick-witted banter, they kick down the door to the target room, only to be met with a hail of gunfire. In the chaos, a man grabs the briefcase and bolts to the elevator, heading straight up to the rooftop helipad. When the heroes arrive, they met with armed guards. Daredevil, sensing danger, knocks Spider-Man aside just before a sniper can take a shot. But that momentary distraction costs them. The helicopter takes off. Fortunately, Spidey manages to slap a tracer on it before it disappears into the night. I like this, and this also kind of sets up for all of Spidey's suspicions, because if you're Spider-Man and you don't know why this is so important, Daredevil is like on it with this. Like he desperately needs whatever that briefcase is, and he's yet to tell Spider-Man why. And this is just going to add fuel to the fire of the suspicion that maybe this is not something Spider-Man needs to necessarily hand over to Daredevil. But we'll get there. The tracker leads them to Hong Kong, where the duo decide to get over there by, what's the term? It's not jet skiing.
It's like an airfoil, isn't it?
God, he
Isn't
called
that
it a hydrofoil, but what is that thing
hydrofoil?
when you're doing the,
Paragliding, I believe
there
it
you go,
is.
parasailing?
But parasailing's like right. But what they're doing is just because this thing is so fast, they can just hang on and just
Yeah,
be back there. You know what I mean? This was a lot of fun. This whole thing, and I like the fact of how well they play off one another,
yeah,
and they make for a great team up because they fill in each other's needs. You know,
yes,
because Daredevil, if Daredevil didn't have Spider-Man, there's no Spider Tracer, right?
yes,
And if Spider-Man doesn't have Daredevil, you don't have. He's not as brutal a fighter. He's not as precise. You know, because
yeah,
Spidey's so busy. You know, they're both willing not to kill, but Daredevil's willing to break some legs. You know
100%.
what I mean?
Yeah,
You know what I mean? He's like Batman. You know, it's just like, oh, I won't kill anybody, but I will wreck somebody. Spider-Man's sitting there going, I can go blow for blow with the Hulk, but I'm gonna just incapacitate you and web you up and string you up. So I love how well they play off one another but yet the whole time too, Spider-Man keeps mentioning like, you're not telling me something. And of course, he also has that itch in the back of his head, like, I should know more about you, but I don't.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. The Daredevil is showing a level of urgency that is unexplainable to Spider-Man right now.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Because if he was like, "Oh, in the briefcase is a vial and it's a bioweapon," oh, and
Right.
the briefcase is 10 vials of
$1 billion.
super soldier serum, or yeah, just some sort of like it's the codes to the nuke. Spider-Man will be
Mm-hmm.
on it, but Spider-Man's kind of chilling because he doesn't know
Right.
what's going on. But Daredevil he has a hard on for this briefcase, and Spider-Man just can't figure out why. But yeah, like
Yeah.
you said, if it wasn't for Spider-Man, he wouldn't be convinced to do this whole hydrofoil thing.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And he's kind of having a blast, and Spider-Man's having a blast, and Daredevil's like, you probably should get down here before people see you. And Spidey's like, let them see me. I'm amazing.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, that's pretty cool. They end up finding, the tracker ends up leading them to a room where the duo makes a dramatic entrance through the window, taking down a squad of thugs. Spider-Man expertly snatches the briefcase with his webs, but before they can celebrate, Daredevil tells them to leave while he finishes off their remaining goons. Spidey obliges, but when they meet on the rooftop, the tension suddenly shifts a little bit. Spider-Man, suspicious, demands answers. Daredevil never told him what was in the briefcase or why it mattered so much. Not only that, but Matt seems unusually desperate to keep it out of the wrong hands, almost like something is messing with his memory. The web slinger doesn't like the secrecy and in frustration keeps the briefcase away from Matt. It's almost like a game of keep away. And every time he's like Matt is trying so hard to get this from Spider-Man without just outright telling him what it is, which does nothing but raise the suspicions of Spider-Man.
Right.
Because the more Spidey plays with this, the angrier Daredevil is getting. And the more that he's just trying to snatch it out of Spider-Man's hands, instead of just, like I said, like friends, I'll be like, oh, bro, I just need that. It was my birth certificate's in there or something, like.
Right.
But his hesitance to tell Spider-Man what it is, I mean, my man's got a sixth sense already, right? He's got a spider sense, and he just knows that something is up. And again, as somebody who's had his memory messed with, and who has messed with other people's memories, he knows something is up. Throughout this entire comic, especially this issue, he goes to great lengths to talk about how they're best buds. They're best buds
Right.
in this superhero crime fighting world. But past that knowledge, he doesn't know who Daredevil is. At one point, he jokes around by calling him Stan to see if he was going to answer to that name, because he's like, "You look like a Stan." But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah,
Right. I felt like that was Spider-Man's way because Peter Parker's not a dummy. I
no,
felt like that was his way of the whole time being coy about like, look, man, like I know we're working together, but there's something not happening here. It's not working. Something's not working here. So
yeah.
this is Peter's way of saying, no, we gotta figure this out.
And dare I say, this is the height of superhero distrust. This is in the midst of Secret Invasion, Civil War, Dark
Hmm.
Avengers. Like this is
Yeah.
the height of like I don't know what team anybody's on, and you're acting very sketchy, sir. So I am gonna keep this away from you. Literally dangles the briefcase over the edge of a building,
Hmm.
and so Matt's forced to come clean, at least partially. So Daredevil confesses that he erased everyone's memory of his identity, and that the briefcase holds the key to taking down major crime bosses like Fisk, Black Cat, the Magia, and Tombstone, etc. His secrecy, he insists, is necessary to finish what he started. After a moment of consideration, Spider-Man hands over the briefcase, but leaves Daredevil with a warning, telling him to be careful about this quote-unquote black suit phase. If anyone knows about
Right.
a black suit phase, it's Spider-Man.
And I
Um,
think that's why Peter or Spider-Man is so willing to give it back in a sense, because he's like, oh, I've been down this road.
yeah,
I know this. I know the black suit phase. I know the idea of hiding my secret identity again. I've been down that path. So I will let you have this, because at least finally you came clean to a degree. I'll let it rock for now.
he even says like fascinating story. Like it doesn't
Hmm.
even really matter to him if it's true or not. At least you've told me something. You gave me
Well, I
some
think I think
sort
I,
of
I think he's saying it's fascinating in that, like, oh, I too have the same story.
yeah, yeah,
That's how
yeah,
I
yeah.
took it.
There's that too. But like I feel like his inability to be like, let's go stop the bad guys. He's kind of like, you're going through something, and I'm just gonna like let you go through it. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna. You usually don't rock the black, but you're rocking the black. You usually don't keep secrets, but you're keeping secrets.
Right.
I don't know what's up with you, Daredevil, but I'm gonna trust you, and I'm gonna leave you be. And here's your briefcase. Because I love that at no point does he question any of the story. It's almost like he just needed to know that Daredevil would come clean in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
To prove his loyalty
Right.
to the good side of all this.
Right.
But I found that incredibly interesting because it's the first time in a while that we had such a seismic tone shift. We're joking, we're taking down bad guys in Hong Kong,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden Spider-Man's like, yeah, no, I'm not giving this to you. I don't trust you. What's going on,
Right.
bro? And we do see how desperate Matt is to keep this all under wraps. He has changed a lot of people's lives with this secret now being reinstated. And every time it gets close to unraveling, he wigs out because of all that he sacrificed to get to this point. I'm very curious to see what goes on moving forward, and we will be continuing the next, I want to say, volume.
The next
Um,
volume, it's about 5, 6 issues, right? Yeah, five
yeah,
issues.
yeah, where we get the introduction to the Daredevil born again villain Muse.
Mutants.
And Charles has a lot to say about Muse in 2016. I really, really like that stuff, guys. This really, really interesting stuff. These first couple of issues kind of just set the stage for who this Daredevil is, who Matt
Right.
is, what is important to him. And I was going to say it sets up kind of like his world, but it almost goes to great lengths to stress that the world that he used to have is no longer the world he has anymore. And with even less confidants, even less friends, even less teammates that he can trust, what sort of road is this Daredevil gonna get set down? You know, and we will
Oh,
continue
and
that.
not just that, what road he's already been on, because we still have yet to
Oh
understand what got
yeah.
him to the point that, because the stuff that he goes through for the secret identity stuff,
Oh,
that's pretty dark too.
ultimately, as the reader, he has to. This has to be a damn good reason to not come off as selfish,
Right.
right? This has to be like earth shattering. The reason why he chose to, or else it just ends up coming off as self serving. So, which is
Right.
it? Hopefully we'll find out soon, but we'll definitely uncover the next volume of this on the next episode of the Major Issues podcast. But yeah, I dug this run.
Mhm.
I don't think anything in this was life shattering, but it really is you have to start back with stage one, right? You have to build this character back up, build his proficiency, build his confidence, and sort of his abilities in the world, color in everybody else, all his other stresses, and including all the stuff that he stresses about in his civilian life, and kind of set up the stage for the kind of people that are after him, and it's his friends and his enemies alike, because no one can get a beat on who this Daredevil is. It's almost like it's been wiped away from their memory.
Right. So we got to figure out what's going on. And
Yeah,
this next villain, oof,
good
good
stuff.
stuff.
No, 100% good stuff. But yeah, we're just trying to scratch that old Daredevil itch as people dive back into the world of Daredevil. There's the character's never been more prominent, right? With these great runs that are currently going on in the last 10 years.
Hmm.
Just the 10-year ago run, and 10 years ago is when the actual Netflix Daredevil series started. So you saw about like 10 years of this
Wow.
character. The last 10 years of this
Wow.
character have been so transformative when it comes to who this character is and what he means to the fan base. So I thought going to patient zero, if you will, with this
Mhm.
comic series was very important to kind of let the fans know what kind of trajectory Soule's run put him on, and eventually we'll get into Zdarsky, the whole Devil's Reign, and all that kind of stuff somewhere down the line. But yeah, what do you think of this? As somebody who knew that this run took place, but necessarily didn't get into it.
Underrated. I would
Yeah,
definitely say it's underrated, and I want to finish it. I want to finish this run. So, guys, yeah, it's not game changing, at least not yet to me, but it's fun. It's a
yeah,
fun run. It's dark, especially if you're a fan of the Bendis and Brubaker's run. This
yeah.
is definitely more in line with those runs. And since I did read Daredevil right before Devil's Reign, and I read Devil's Reign a little bit afterwards,
Hmm.
this really goes right into all of that.
Yeah,
So it helps me better understand Devil's Reign, because I remember reading Devil's Reign being like, what? Where did all this start?
yeah.
And now I'm seeing it and I'm like, this is good stuff. This is good stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Daredevil is a character who benefits from such great writers, great artists. Giving him the black suit also kind of, you know, pays homage to this darker edge, that he goes through is the same suit that he was rocking in Shadowlands and stuff. But even, for Spider-Man, the conscience of the Marvel comic universe to be like, hey, you're wearing that black suit, it's something for us to pay attention to because we know what happens when our heroes can lose sight of that black and white and start playing a little bit in that gray. And it seems like that's exactly what Matt Murdock's doing when he puts the entirety of everyone's consciousness in his hands and does with it what he wants to
Yeah,
to
right.
uh, achieve his own ends. But yeah, this was a hell of a breakdown of these first 9 issues. I really, really liked it. We'll be returning with issues 10 through 14 next week
Yep.
to kind of fill in that blank and kind of let you guys know who Muse is. I'm gonna jump to the conclusion that we might even get to Muse before the show does, which is pretty interesting stuff to kind of inform the fans of his comic book counterpart before he makes his live action debut. But I can't wait. And if you can't wait and you want more Daredevil talk from us beautiful people, you have to go to ComicBookClique.com. It's a one stop for everything Comic Book Clique, including every single episode of the Major Issues podcast. That's over 370 episodes. And we have covered stories like Born Again. We actually eulogized Marvel Netflix when the oil shows got canceled. We have a in-depth review of Daredevil season 3, which was the last season before it got moved over to Disney Plus and Marvel or Disney got the rights to the character. So go back and listen to that stuff to color your enjoyment of Daredevil even further. But we cover everything. We've covered every single major comic book movie released since 2017. Yeah, we have to go back and do Hellboy, Crooked Man, and stuff like that. But every major, every, every major comic book release, we've managed to tackle TV shows, movies, interviews with amazing, amazing writers. We do it all here as part of Comic Book Click. So if you're digging what we're doing, like I said, go to comicbookclick.com. It's the one stop for all of our articles, all of our merchandise, every single episode of the Major Issues podcast. We're doing stellar things over there. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/comicbookclick, Instagram at comicbookclick, or use that hashtag comicbookclick to talk about the newest, hottest, latest, and greatest things to come to comic books and comic book media. We're at Major Issue CBC on Twitter. We're at Major Issue CBC on Twitch. If you guys would like to throw us some nickels and dimes, consider going to comicbookclick.com, hitting that shop CBC link, and buying a piece of merchandise, and we get a kickback from every piece of merchandise sold. If you just want to give us money outright, go to patreon.com/CBC Clubhouse. And for as little as 10 cents a day, $3 a month, you can help us keep our lights on here and afford the hardware and the software that we need to keep providing you guys content free of charge. The content machine has never been at such high power. We're continuing to do things like you should be reading, like major previews, major discourse, our interview series, and the Major Issues podcast each and every week. Our numbers are growing. We're getting very, very close to 44,000. Might even have hit it by the time this episode comes out. We started this episode. We started this year at 40, so 4,000 couple months. Not bad, not bad.
Not
But you
bad.
guys got to keep
Thank you, everybody.
100%. Keep telling a friend to tell a friend. I feel the more people hear us, the more that they dig us. We are the blue sky, like in Breaking Bad. But if we're not on the corner and we're not giving out freebies, then no one knows that they need to be hooked on the Major Issues podcast.
And we're not going to get shot by a 9-year-old on a bike.
No, we're not. No, we're not. Just similar to this run, which like I said, that some of these issues peer into 2016. ComicBookClique was started in 2016, so we are approaching our 10-year anniversary, and with that, the team grows, the brand grows, the site grows, everything. The rising tide has arisen all these boats, and it's an embarrassment of riches. I'm so glad I get to do this with my friends. I'm so glad I get to put out so much of this content. I'm so glad when push comes to shove, and I pass away and they put all these episodes into a robot, that this podcast will be able to continue without me, because all my hot takes have just been recorded into some algorithm, and I could review, the 2035 season of Daredevil when it gets rebooted. But yeah, man, get on the bandwagon before the bandwagon gets full. We do this as a labor of love, but like I said, if you guys could support us in any way, monetarily, that will help us tremendously. If you can't help us out with money, consider rating and reviewing us on iTunes is the quickest way for us to grow as podcasters and find out what you like and what you don't. I've been to the future where we do become the latest and greatest things to come to comic books and comic book media. I just can't tell you how we do it because it'll mess up the timeline. This timeline is pretty cool because in it, we are sharing ComicBookClique.com with the guys over at Dirt Sheet Radio, the industry leaders in all things professional wrestling and pop culture, and they're going through their WrestleMania season. Tune into Dirt Sheet Radio, Facebook.com/Dirt Sheet Radio, and they have live shows for every single wrestling event, post shows. They are doing pop culture news. They are killing the game, and we share ComicBookClique.com with them. You can type in DirtSheetRadio.com. You'll be redirected to all things Dirt Sheet Radio at ComicBookClique.com. So consider giving those guys a follow, a share. If you like what we're doing over here, they're doing it over there, and it's just different kind of tights. Just different stuff over there.
It is.
So,
it is.
Yeah. So consider checking out what those guys are doing over there. But like I said, you have to do it because I've been to the future where we do become the latest and greatest things to come to comic books, comic book media. Dirt Sheet Radio becomes the latest and greatest thing to come to professional wrestling and pop culture. But I can't tell you how we do it because I will mess up the timeline. And next thing you know, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is convincing John Cena to go heel, and nobody wants to. Oh wait. Might be in the wrong. I think we might be in the wrong timeline.
No.
To be continued on that
front.
Rick,
get the portal gun.
Yes. To be continued on that front. We'll figure out all of that on the next episode of the Major Issues podcast. But I think we are all done with our pitches. Join us next week as we discover the origin of Muse. But there's nothing else left to say, but my name is George Serrano, a.k.a. The Don.
And I'm Alex Garcia, a.k.a. The Cog, the comic OG.
And this has been our recap and review of the first 9 issues of Charles Soule's Daredevil run. And remember, whether you're a deadly assassin, a man without fear, a spectacular wall crawler, or just have a blind spot of your own, remember that we are the Clique, and always remember that you, yes you, are worthy.